welcome back to Carnivore RX Lifestyle. If you've spent any time online, you've probably noticed that there is no shortage of opinions about carnivore. One person says one thing and another says the exact opposite. And before long, you're left wondering, who the heck am I supposed to listen to? Well, today I am joined by Amy Davis, and together we're going to try to cut through some of that noise. We're talking about how to separate solid advice from social media hype, avoid getting overwhelmed by conflicting information, and stay focused on the habits that actually move your health forward. So, if you've ever felt confused by all the different voices in this carnivore community of ours, this conversation is for you. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. Hi, Amy. Thanks for joining us this afternoon.
So much. I really appreciate this opportunity. And this topic is like really on fire right now and near and dear to my heart because I can't tell you how many people that I've talked to or worked with, and they're like, well, this person says this social media creator says this, and which one do I choose? So I think it's important for people to hear this message and figure out for themselves, what to
Yeah.
listen to.
Agree. For those of you that are wondering what's going on and what the heck is Carnivore RX Lifestyle and what is Meeting Wellness doing over there, well, this is a brand new channel, and I am Cristie. My channel is Meeting Wellness, but I am also the host of this wonderful channel. So those of you that know me, and I know there's a lot of you watching from Amy's channel right now that know me, know that I took a 6-month break from my YouTube channel, Meeting Wellness, because of this exact topic. Like, the noise just was overwhelming me, and with everything else I had going on, I just stepped away. But I will say that when I came back, Amy, I feel more grounded and motivated and secure in what I'm doing, and so I do think that it did help me
Good,
to do that.
good.
Yeah.
Yes,
All
yes.
right.
And
Well,
I even get troubled by some of the noise sometimes, right? Like,
yeah.
oh, which thing do I do, to troubleshoot this problem?
Yeah, especially, I was just going to say, especially when you're having things that you're trying to troubleshoot, and then you'll hear literally opposite advice depending on, who you try to talk to.
Right.
So we have a few kind of overarching ideas, and I'm going to pop the first one up here, and I would like to just talk about them with you. If
Yep.
in the comments, if you have any questions, go ahead and let us know. We'll also try to get to any of those, or if you've experienced any of this yourself, we'd love to hear your thoughts on this too. But Amy, the first one is, let's go ahead and stop following personalities and start following principles.
Right. And many of us who've been in this lifestyle for a long time, we know what the founding principles of this way of life are. Eat meat, lower carbs as, much as possible. If you're keto, you can have some of the veg, but if you're very strict, no vegetables, and just keep those carbs as low as possible. And what happens on social media, unfortunately, is there's algorithms, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so the social media influencers are trying to chase those algorithms, and they're saying shocking things to get likes and clicks. And that doesn't mean that they're bad people. It just means that they're doing what they need to do to be successful on social media, unfortunately. And so that's kind of like we got to take a step back sometimes and just say, okay, what are the founding principles of this way of life? And stick to those things above and beyond all of the shocking wows and trends. Like for example, some people stepped away from carnivore and started the fruitarian diet. That's an example of that, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that got a lot of clicks and likes, and then they went back to carnivore. Some of them,
Mm-hmm.
it was kind of a shift. And maybe it was true, maybe it wasn't. It's not for me to decide, but the algorithms and the social media influencers trying to chase the likes and clicks, and a lot of times they have sponsors, so they have to keep up with minimums in the social media world in order to keep that going. So that's kind of my first thought on that one. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I see these trends too. And I think, I remember that sugar diet very well. And a lot of people went and, tried it and kind of gave their experience with it. And, I was like, no, thank you. I'm just going to stick what I know works for me. I knew that would probably be, a bad idea. The other thing that sort of goes with this a little bit is or it's kind of adjacent to this idea is I think right when I first came back from my 6-month break, it was like the whole salt debacle was going on.
Oh,
And
with
yeah, so it's
Redmond's and
yeah, which
the,
salt,
yeah.
this salt has this and this, and it's like I think sometimes we want to try to major in the minors, and that's really not that helpful. And so personally, I did not give up my Redmond salt. If other people switch salt, that's fine, like for them or whatever, but it almost felt like an attack on
It
people
was.
who wanted to stick to Redmond's or like, on that company instead of just saying, look, I found this salt. I like it. Here's what I'm using now. Like, why do we have to go on the offensive? And, people that maybe knew that would be very confusing to get those conflicting type of messages.
Yeah, and to speak to that specific point, and I don't want to knock any of the salt companies. I'm sure they're all really good. But about the time that happened, a new salt company launched. And the creators that were saying some of these things were promoters of the new salt company.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if there was like a motive to poach clients from the other salt company by attacking it and freaking people out and saying, do this salt. I don't know. And like I said, I don't want to get into the politics of all that, but there was another salt company that launched about the same time those videos were coming out. So
Yes,
I thought
agree.
that was interesting.
Agree. Now, I will say before that, with the whole electrolytes and the maltodextrin,
Yeah.
at that point, I did switch electrolytes because for me personally, I still buy the sparkling electrolytes from that other company and things like that. But for me personally, I just went with another company that I know doesn't have that stuff in there. That was a choice for me. That's not an attack on that company. My
Right.
mom still uses their electrolytes. Like I always say, like she's doing great. It was just for me that I just made that personal decision, but I didn't get online and I started talking about the electrolyte that I'm using now, which is the salty Coco Loco electrolyte, but I never said a word about the other one. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, it's just
Right.
yeah, I agree with you. It can be a little bit I noticed that it was like, oh, and now, this new one and put in my
Mhm.
name for 10% off kind of a thing. So I think
Exactly.
sometimes you have to be careful. Not that people having sponsors is a bad thing. Like I have a few. I'm very not the best because I don't always, promote it like I, should. When I say the best, I mean at, promoting them the way that I
Right.
am supposed to. Um, per the agreements and things like that. But, I'm not necessarily against that because I feel like, if people are trustworthy and that they, like I wouldn't have a company like Salty, if I didn't actually use and like their product. I wouldn't just
Right.
be a shill for some random thing that I don't like or don't use or don't believe in.
Right.
But anyway, I think that can cause a little bit of confusion for people, especially when somebody says, "Oh, try this salt," and somebody says, "Oh, no, no, that salt has lead." It's like, "Oh my gosh, can we just eat some meat?" And then, if there's a problem, if there's something that comes up, maybe it would be time to make a change. But if you're not
Right.
having symptoms, right, or anything like that, then why is it time to start moving things around and shifting things just because someone said so? Okay. So the next point here is that bio individuality is real.
Yes. So what I think of when I think of is this is everybody is dealing with different levels and different things they're healing from, their body, even though the human body is pretty much all the same, each one of us are dealing with different conditions, and some of us may be successful on keto. I was successful on keto and felt amazing for like 10 years, right? Or 9 years. And then I started to get some other things creeping, age-related things creeping up, and I'm like, I need to go stricter, right? So some people need to be strict carnivore, and then some people have such sensitive autoimmune conditions that they need to be lion diet. So when we're talking to people and we're just like, just eat the meat, well, for some people, they can't eat pork, they can't eat bacon, they got to be careful with, it's not just eat the meat. The individuality of this lifestyle is a real thing. And, some people can only have beef. Some people can't have egg whites because they're allergic to them. Some people can't have dairy at all. So that's what I mean when we say bio individuality is real, because everyone's situation, it needs to be tweaked individually for every person.
I agree. I have never had a sensitivity to any foods. Like, I'm the person that went carnivore accidentally because the meat just looked good and the vegetables didn't. So I didn't start this way of eating. I know it makes people laugh every time I say it. I didn't start this way of eating because I was desperate, which a lot of people do, right? They have some condition, they're desperate. They've heard some testimonials or some of the wonderful doctors in our space, talking about how a carnivore diet can help them. And it almost like that balance has to tip, like their exposure to like, oh, meat causes all these bad things that we kind of hear out there in the standard advice column versus their medical condition. Right. And so I didn't have any of that. It was just truly a preference for me. And I think that's why, I've never done a lion diet. Some people will even do like a 30-day lion diet challenge. Like, I've never done anything like that. I can tell you right now that if I had some symptom that I really wanted to address, that might be something, that I would try. But unless and until that happens, I enjoy my coffee and I enjoy my, like I said, Coco Loco electrolytes, right? What else? A pickle chip once every few months, something like that, right? I do occasionally have, chicken and pork. I do eat eggs with the whites and bacon, and I do enjoy some cheese, and butter, right? I do know that if I eat too much cheese though, I'll get a giant zit right about there. So guess what, Amy? I limit my cheese. There isn't a zit there because I haven't eaten too much cheese. See, my skin is clear and lovely.
So
I don't eat too much cheese.
How much is too much? Do you have an exact amount that you can eat?
Okay. So to know that for sure, I would have to do a true N=1 and like put in a certain amount of cheese every day until the zit shows up. And I don't want to do that because I know it's like not just a little pimple that goes away in a couple days. If it was, I might try that. It's like a deep cystic pimple that will stay there for months and then leave us like a dark spot on my face for like 6 months after. And I used to just have those, they would pop out all the time on each side of my chin right there.
Wow. And the same spot every time?
Same spot every time. It would be on either side of my chin, here or here, either side. Yes, big cystic pimples that didn't, go away quickly. They would literally be there for like a couple months and then leave a dark spot. And they were painful and deep under the skin. So it's like, since carnivore, 3 years, little over 3 years, that might have happened twice in all that time. And it used to happen every other month or so, before that. And I think when it happened was when I had cheese several days in a row. So it's like, I'll have cheese on a burger. When we were just at my in-laws' house it was over the weekend. I think it was on Saturday. We were just over there and we had burgers and I wasn't going to have cheese on any of them. I said, I'll take 3 patties. We were doing barbecue. They barbecued them up. And then I noticed my little niece over there and her plate is just empty. And I was like, there's a bunch of burger patties over there. I said, she's funny. She eats I go, you kind of eat like me. 'Cause she'll put meat and she'll put fruit. Like, I don't eat fruit, but like, she's a kid. She doesn't take the mac and cheese. She takes meat and fruit. I'm like, that's awesome. She's like 8, right?
It really is.
Yeah. So then I'm like, what's going on? There's burger patties over there. Usually your plate looks kind of like mine. And she goes, they all have cheese. And so I gave her one of my cheeseless ones, and then I took one with cheese. I think, and so yeah, no breakout from that one patty with the cheese. But if I were to have cheese probably several days in a row, that's when it would affect me. And so I don't totally cut out the cheese, but I just eat it occasionally, and it doesn't seem to affect me. So that's only from living my life, like eating this way for a little over 3 years, like I said, and just kind of experimenting. Right now, Amy, I don't know if you saw my episode last night, but do you know what that is?
It's a CGM, isn't it?
That's a CGM. Yeah. So I did an episode with Jenny Middich. If you guys haven't caught that on my channel, that's Meeting Wellness. I have never worn one of these before, and it's just one that you can get over the counter. Jenny Middich showed me how to put it on, and I have been now tracking my glucose. Well, it's been right about 24 hours now. Just
Wow.
because I'm just curious. I'm not going to eat anything crazy, but I am going to play with some meal timing and things like that, and just out of sheer curiosity, right?
That's
So,
cool.
because like what you said, everyone is an individual. I can't calibrate it, but I will tell you that right now my glucose is 105. 105. Okay. Earlier today, according to my Keto Mojo, because I've been doing a few finger pricks to see how close it is to this, it was 103, and my ketones were 1.3 at that time.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm just doing some experiments to see, what's going on, because everyone is an individual. Okay. But to
Right.
speak to this point, and then I'll let you talk, Amy. I know I've been talking for a minute. Sorry. But
Oh, that's good.
it's on my very own channel, and we're talking about the noise in the space, right? It's like sometimes you just have to have a little bit of a thick skin, because I'm there on my channel doing my thing, doing the CGM thing. Jenny's talking about, all the experiments she does and the importance of CGMs, or not the importance, but like the value that they could have to somebody. And I'm about to like put this thing on my arm for 2 weeks. And, someone in the comments talking about CGMs are stupid and a big waste of money, like on my very own channel. And it's someone who watches my channel all the time. So it's like, okay, that's their opinion. I'm just going to have to let that
Yeah.
go. You know what I mean? So the noise in the space is real. And it affects
is.
all of us,
Yes, and then there's somebody else watching your channel that might get benefit from one, and now they're seeing this person say that, and it's like,
That's
oh,
right. Right. And
you know.
there was somebody yesterday that was brand new and was like, I don't know why this is literally their comment, something to this effect. I don't know why this popped up. I don't know anything about any of this. Can you guys help me out? And we're like, hey, yes. So she reiterated, and then we talked about like, we don't know how they eat, but somebody that's eating a bunch of glucose or having, blood sugar regulation issues that hasn't even started a low carb diet yet of any kind, maybe that could be helpful to them. So I think, everyone's a little bit different. Right now, it's looking like my glucose is pretty stable, which is that's how I feel, right? I feel like it's stable.
Right.
It was like a curiosity thing, right? And to help somebody else, and to say, look, am I going to be able to put this thing on? Does it hurt? Like, how does it work? That kind of thing.
I think it's awesome because I have a Keto Mojo too, but
Mm-hmm.
we get busy and we can't be like sticking our fingers every hour of the day, nor who would want to do that? Your fingers would hurt. So
No.
I think it's cool. I've thought about getting one, just to see. Like, when I eat at this time, does it spike? How much does it spike eating carnivore foods? And then when does it resolve? That type of thing. And because also when you're in a coaching space too, it's helpful to know those kinds of things for speaking with people you're working with, that this is when you want to check this or that, because not everybody has a CGM. They would need to check, manually. So I think it's
Yeah.
good feedback. It's good feedback.
Yeah, I think so too. And so, speaking of feedback, that's a great segue into say point number 3, that your body is better feedback than the internet.
Yes. Yes. So that point is, for some people, the scale will tell them if what they're doing is right. So for example, if they have 100 pounds to lose and they're doing all of these things. Sometimes people should throw their scale out and not step on it, right? But a scale is a way to monitor feedback. Another way to monitor is how are your clothes fitting, right? Are your clothes, sometimes body composition changes as you're eating well, even though the scale isn't moving. Uh, is your blood glucose and A1C, like those types of measures, are those improving? Because sometimes maybe the scale isn't moving, but you're becoming healthier, right?
Mhm.
And then how are you feeling? And then also for the negative things, like for me personally, and I'm actually working with my doctor on this specific thing, but I've noticed a pattern. I'm a very social person, and I tend to go out sometimes once a week, sometimes less frequently to restaurants, and I'm eating carnivore foods at restaurants like hamburger patties, eggs and bacon. But I believe that they're being fried in seed oils, and then I believe I have a reaction to that 2 to 3 days afterwards. So
Hmm.
sometimes just a good old pen and paper and tracking which restaurant did I eat at, how many days, what were my symptoms, um, how long did they last? How long did I eat at home clean before they went away? Sometimes just good old tracking and journaling and keeping track of these things is better feedback than listening to the social media influencer. Like, I don't want to say Cristie and I, but there's a lot of people out there saying, just do this and try this trend and do that. And the listening to your own body and making notes and just tracking your own feedback, I think is way more powerful than because we're different than the person on the YouTube screen, right? We're different than that person. So you said you don't really have any issues. So you could probably go to a restaurant and get a hamburger patty and,
Mhm.
some bacon and eggs and be fine, even if there's a little seed oils in it. I'm not fine. So if you came on YouTube and said, just do this, and I'm like, oh, Cristie says, just do this. And then I go out and just do that and I have a different result, you know, uh, keeping track of your own feedback your body has to tell you, I think, is the most important information we can tune into.
Yeah, I think that carnivore is really, really good for clearing out the other noise so that then your body will actually give you feedback. So I
Yes.
can go eat burger patties at a restaurant, feel fine, have no symptoms, or chicken wings, feel fine, have no symptoms. I know pretty much for sure those chicken wings are fried in some seed oil. I don't eat them all the time. When I was out in Las Vegas for COSI, that was one of the things I did because right in the hotel where I stayed, there was a chicken wing place and it was easy and I got my chicken wings. Okay. But that might happen when I'm traveling a couple times a year, and I don't notice any symptoms. Now, when I was just on it last month in Las Vegas, I had restaurant food for 3 days in a row, and it was a slight ache in my joints of my left hand. So was it horrible? No. And it was like the last day of the trip, and then the next day after getting home, after eating whatever restaurant food, and it was steaks. I ate carnivore food, and I ate once a day. I had OMAD. It was 2 ribeye steaks and a Brazilian steakhouse dinner. That's what I ate.
Wow.
And my left hand was very slightly. And I probably wouldn't have noticed it with the little aches and pains that I had all over my body before, but my body is so ache free now that when I get a little ache, I'm like, oh, huh. And then I just had a thought, like, I bet that was probably something in that restaurant food that I was eating that I don't usually have. And
Mhm.
sure enough, a day after coming home, it was gone. So
Yeah.
I'm right there with you of keeping track of what your body is doing. Pay attention to that and try to connect it. I am in the process of making an app right now that people can put in their food. And then they can put in their symptoms, and then it will track, like, if you put in the same thing, like, let's say you ate some eggs with the whites, and if 3 times you put, I had eggs and blah blah blah, and then this, like, I had inflammation, I don't know, it would, after 3 times of that same food matched up with that same symptom, it would tell you that
Wow.
this might be something to look at because on 3 occasions you ate this food and had this symptom. And
Sign me up.
isn't that cool?
Yeah, because I have a lot of symptoms I'm chasing. Not a
Okay.
lot, mostly joint pain, but
It's something I'm working on and I need to get back on it because it's like mostly done. Like it's usable right now, but I'm just, I'm trying to, I haven't worked on it in about a month. I need to like get some final little, bugs out of it. But anyway, I hope that will be, helpful for people just because how do you know? And then if you're doing it on pen and paper, that's a great way, but then you have to go back through and kind of
yeah,
cross-reference everything. The
that's
app
true.
kind of does it for you and just tells you like, hey, this happened when you ate this 3 times. It might be something to consider. Okay, I want to go through because we do have some comments. So Marissa's talking about, thank you for this, such a timely topic. The ultimate food noise, you need to carb cycle. Have you heard that? Because I heard that a few years ago about the carb cycling, and I think it's starting to trickle back in. People adding in, what have I heard the term? Specific carbs. I'm adding in specific carbs. I don't know what that means, Amy, but that's
I
what I've
don't
heard.
either. I'm like, what's a specific carb? A carb is a carb is a carb. Like there's no, I mean,
Yes. So,
differentiation from that.
I think, like you said, you did great on keto for 9 years. My mom has been keto for about a little over 3 years. She still eats some veggies. She's doing great. Okay. If those carbs and those veggies or those low carb, low glycemic fruits are not affecting you, more power to you, right? But just you need to carb cycle because this, that, or the other symptom, and carbs are going to fix it. That's the difference. And it's, correct me if I'm wrong, Amy, but there is no essential carbohydrate.
No, there's not. There's not. And
So
as a matter of fact, some people like, I mean, no, there is no essential carbohydrate. And remember too, folks, when we eat meat and eggs, there are a little bit of carbs there. Like eggs have a little bit of carbs. So even when someone says, you're going to die if you just eat meat and eggs, and if you add cheese to it, there's carbs in cheese. So
mhm.
it's not like when we say zero carb, it's really not. There's a few, and I think I plugged in just eating meat, eggs, and a little bit of cheese, and I've gotten over 10 carbs a day just on a
Mhm.
strict carnivore diet. So
Right. Right. And your body only needs 4 to 5 grams of glucose in your blood at any time. So you already got more than your body needed from
mhm.
those carbs, right? So the carbs in animal foods are going to be plenty. But again, I'll repeat it again. If you are like Spanky and you're a ketovore and love you some veggies and it works for you,
Go
keep going.
for it.
Go
Yeah.
for it. Yeah, that's right. Personally, I look at the veggies and get the major ick. I'm like, no, I ate veggies all my life because I was a good girl. My mom said, eat your veggies. And I did. I choked them down, the peas and everything else. And then, when I got older, I believed that veggies were good for me. I didn't eat them very often, but I would still try to incorporate. And then it was like, what am I doing this for? I'm like, I don't even like these. So I just stopped. And that, funnily enough, that is when all these symptoms that I was experiencing just went away, Amy. So for me, I'm eating the way that works best for my personal body and what I got going on over here at the age of 50. All right, Peter says, I decided 7 months ago to try and add back in yogurt and berries. Big mistake. I gained a bunch of weight and now I'm slowly losing weight again, but it set me back a lot. Yeah. I think that those things can be addictive too, and like can definitely
Yeah.
set off, you eat that and then it's a slippery slope. Like it's hard to regulate. When I was eating more of a keto diet, I still had to use a lot of willpower to try to, and usually failed, to regulate certain things that were keto food, like pecans, right? Pecans are perfectly keto food. You just have to moderate them.
Mhm.
I couldn't moderate them. I would keep going back for handfuls of pecans, right? And cream cheese too when I was keto.
Yes.
Now I can do cream cheese and it's fine. I can do it occasionally and be fine and not have to, try to stay away from it, you know?
So
Okay.
nobody judge, but I'm just gonna come out with a video about making your own yogurt. I'm not actually eating yogurt. I did try a bite of it. My husband is eating. He's carnivore. He doesn't realize he's carnivore. So he's replaced the veggies with some cottage cheese and yogurt. So I made it for him because I wanted to see how easy it was. I did
Mhm.
try a bite of it. It was delicious, right? But it's not something I would eat every day. So don't judge me when my yogurt video comes out because
Some people
but
do fine on yogurt and they actually feel like it because it has like probiotics and fermented and
yeah.
whatever it is. I don't know, but it has like the good bacteria in there, right? And some people
Mhm.
they feel like it helps their gut. So yeah, they're eat your yogurt. You know, if it serves you, you know, eat your yogurt. Go by the, like we're talking about, go by your body's feedback. Peter's body told him, I cannot eat yogurt and berries because if I do, I'm going to gain a bunch of weight and set myself back. So for Peter, it's better to stay away from that stuff, right? Whereas somebody
Yes.
else, that might be what keeps them away from all the other like hyper sugary processed things, right? It could be something that helps them stay away from that. So I do think it's very individualized.
Yes, for sure.
Okay. So we have this next point, which is don't chase every new trend and only change one thing at a time.
Yes. So this one I think is probably my favorite one. Just because from talking with people, they're like, well, and this week I fasted for 3 days, and then next week I did a sardine fast, and then this week I'm doing this and that, and there's now granted not that you're going to do a sardine fast or a fast for 3 months, right? But when people change things and they don't like, let's say you're going from keto to carnivore, for example, and you only do it for a week. It's probably going to need a little bit more time to see the benefit. You can't switch from this to that to this to that every week and expect to see results. So my suggestion on that is give it 30, at least 30 days, if not 60 or 90, whatever it is you're trying, unless it's like a fast, because you're not going to be doing those kinds of things for that long. But and then I had someone ask me about protein sparing modified fasting because I did that for 4 years, right? And that's a very strict, stringent, sometimes white knuckling type of protocol. And it did work for me for 4 years until it didn't work for me anymore. And what I told them was they were indicating that they're still eating like donuts and some things were creeping in, pretzels, not every day, but every once in a while they would fall back on. And my suggestion to them was let's just try to stick to meat and eggs and the strict carnivore diet. Don't worry about these other protocols. Let's just try to get this as strict as you can and try to figure out what's causing you to go off the rails, because going to something as strict as eating a low fat carnivore, which is what PSMF is, you
Mm-hmm.
know and eating only grilled chicken and egg whites, that's the person that's just going to probably, in my opinion, cause that person to go even further off and be like, I can't do this anymore, right?
Yes.
So, and switching it every other week is just, you're never going to know what works for you if you do that, because you're not giving things enough time, right, to see what the results are. Now, if you get like 20 days in and you've gained 20 pounds or 25 pounds because of whatever you're trying, maybe you don't want to do that thing, right? Maybe you want to switch gears, but I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I feel like I've seen some new people coming in and immediately they're asking questions about kind of like what you said, you know, like, well, I'll use a different example though. So you said PSMF, I'll say fasting, right? They're like, well, I'm doing this, but I know like I need to start fasting. And I'm like, actually, what I think people would be a good idea for people is to don't chase every new trend, right? Don't go into a fast or a sardine fast or an egg fast or all the
Right.
things. Just get really solid in your carnivore. Figure out what your carnivore is, right? What does that look like for you? Dial that in until you can do that consistently. And then if you want to try, you know, a sardine fast or whatever, one of those things that I said, go ahead, right? But I wouldn't be trying it right at the beginning thinking that, oh, well, all these other carnivores are doing these things. And so this is what carnivore is. No, carnivore is eating animal foods and sticking to that, and being
Right.
consistent with that. And so it's like,
Yes.
do that and then, figure out, then from there, you can try, maybe if things are bothering you, like you think maybe it's the egg whites or maybe it's the dairy or whatever, you can start tweaking those things until you find the carnivore that works for you. And then if you have some goals to try to hit, if you're wanting to up your ketones or lose a little more weight or whatever, get yourself a keto mojo and do a sardine fast or something. But I wouldn't start there.
And the other thing I would add to that, you brought up a good point, which reminded me of, don't eliminate more than one thing at a once. Like if you're trying to figure out if you're allergic to egg whites or you're allergic to bacon, only eliminate one thing at a time. Because if you eliminate multiple things at a time and the symptom goes away, guess what? You now don't know which thing it was. Now, I suppose you could add one thing back and see if it comes back. But just try one thing at a time. If you're doing an elimination to figure out what's going on, do one thing at a time. Give yourself a rest in between. Add that thing back in. See how you feel, and then eliminate the other thing and repeat.
Yeah, and if you're doing that to try to find the culprit, don't go messing with eating windows and frequency and all of that at the same time. I definitely went through a period where, because like you, Amy, we were both the women that went on carnivore and gained some weight. Okay. And when I started gaining weight, I freaked out a little bit for a minute
Me
there.
too.
And then I started like switching up things like meal timing and macros and all this stuff. And I don't know if I did it for a while to try to like stop this weight gain. And but I don't know if I ever really only tried one thing at a time, because you're impatient because the scale keeps going up and you're freaking out. And nobody at that time, I didn't have this insight on my own, and like nobody really said that to me. So yeah, I did what I did, and then I just said, I'm just gonna whatever. I'm just gonna roll with it. You know what, Amy? It worked out okay in the end for me, but
that's kind of where I'm at too. I'm like, you know what? I'm feeling a lot better. So my pants fit a little tighter, right? So what? So I'm a size up. A size up compared to the 100 pounds that I lost is nothing, right? My body might need that extra weight to heal from the thyroid issues and the menopause, and maybe it's telling me maybe I got too skinny there for a minute, right? Maybe this is where I'm supposed to be. And who decides what size we're supposed to be? Like when I was a size 8, was I too skinny? Is size 12 really healthy? I think if we go back to like the times of the paintings with you know, Da Vinci and all those people, the women were a little bit chubbier, I think. So maybe that's how we're supposed to be. Who determines what the right size is? Who does that? Who's in charge of that?
I made that switch in my brain to I want to be healthy, not I want to be skinny.
Yeah,
Right.
me
And
too.
once I got that through my thick skull, that was a lot of unlearning, because I wanted to be skinny for 40 years or whatever.
We are like 80s and 90s girls who were low fatted. Like every day you've got to be low fat, low fat, low fat. You got to be skinny, So, I
Yes.
mean, we went through that time
Yes.
period, and I'm still trying to deprogram from that. That's why I did PSMF for 4 years, because I'm like,
4
oh,
years. Man.
yeah,
Yeah.
2021 to last summer. I
Wow.
was on a protein sparing modified fasting protocol. And I got really mad. I love Dr. Barry. Dr. Barry, you're not listening, but if you were, I love you. But him and the doctors killed Chafee. They all did this podcast with each other about a year ago, and they're like, and protein sparing modified fasting is not sustainable. And I was like, yes, it is, because I did it for 4 years, but now I'm not doing it anymore. So they probably win that argument. But I wonder if I'm the one who did it every week. Maybe I wonder if there's an award for who can do PSMF the longest, because it might have been me. I don't know.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so Charlie is saying, "Good evening, ladies. This is such an important topic. I've done a few sardine fasts that I've seen on YouTube, only to realize I can't eat tins of sardines like a tiny woman." That's hilarious, Charlie.
That's funny.
I kind of, part of me still wishes I could do it just out of curiosity to see if I would get these high ketones and feel really good and stuff. But I just don't like the sardines. Okay. I just don't like them. I don't think there's anything particularly magical about them. I do think seafood there might be some things in seafood like omega-3s and things that probably would be good for me, but I just don't like it. I just don't like it, Amy. So I have
like
not done. Yeah, if you like them, eat them.
I don't want to fast and eat nothing but sardines, though. I have a feeling what would happen is I would get sick of them and never want to eat them again. And I don't want that to happen. I don't want to do something that's good. Same thing with eggs. I eat eggs every day, but that's not the only thing that I eat, right? So
Right.
I don't know.
I'm taking a left turn. Have you ever gotten sick of any carnivore food? This is not on topic at all. Have you ever gotten sick of any carnivore food?
Not yet. I've only been doing it a year. So I just
Okay.
hit my 1 year. Now, I've been keto for like almost a decade, right? But I've only been doing strict carnivore for a year. So there's foods I like better than the others. And there's a couple of times that I felt like, oh, frozen hamburger patties again. I'd rather have a ribeye kind of thing. But
Mm.
honestly, I'm like eating for nutrition and so that I don't feel starved, not for like pleasure and like I used to want a cupcake and ice cream and all that stuff. It's more to get nourishment. So I
Mhm.
never have felt like, oh my gosh, I can't take another bite. I'm
So when I was about a year in, and it wasn't because I was doing this all the time, but I used to do a lot of ground beef because it is very economical, and I used to absolutely love it. And I hear a lot of carnivores talking about, I love ground beef. I never get sick of ground beef bowls, ground beef, all the ground beefs, and that's great. And I'm only just not just, but for about, I don't know, for about a year, I'd say I had an extreme, like, I do not want to look at another bowl of ground beef. I think I had one ground beef bowl too many, and I was like, no more, no more. It seemed gross to me. It no longer seems gross to me. And like, so now if I make ground beef, I will do a ground beef bowl with an egg, like an over easy egg, or with a bunch of sour cream in it or something
yeah.
like that. It
Yep.
sounds good again, but I don't do it as often. It's like super occasional now. But I did get on like the ew ground beef. Fortunately, it was just that, and every other carnivore food that I liked still sounded good. I do think I really did eat it, a lot of it, and for me, my body just said nope for a little bit on
Yeah.
that.
Now, one thing that I have done that doesn't seem to affect me is I get a little brown mustard. And if
Mm,
I'm feeling like, I don't know, beef again or whatever, I will put a little dab of some spicy brown mustard on the hamburger patty just as a whatever, not like every single time, maybe once a month, right? If I'm like, oh, hamburger patties again,
mm-hmm.
kind of feeling creeps in, that, then I'll do that just to switch it up. And just a little bit doesn't seem to do anything bad, right? Brown mustard doesn't seem to do anything bad. So,
Yeah, I'm not above doing a little mustard from time to time. I'm going to bring this point back up. We talked about this already. However, there's a comment here because this reminded me. So I'm going on a 1-day bacon fast tomorrow. Talking about, remember how you said, don't get mad at me because of my yogurt.
yeah,
Okay. Listen, I am not anti-salt. I love my salt. I'm not one of those carnivores saying I don't need salt. I do need salt. I salt to taste though, Amy. Salt to taste. So talking about listening to my body, I recently bought some bacon that is lower sodium, not no sodium, not low sodium, but lower. How much lower? I don't know. I'd have to compare it to the other package. And you know what? It's still salty, and I like it better. I like it.
really?
It tastes better to me. So don't come at me for my lower sodium bacon. There's plenty of salt in that bacon, and it's not because I'm afraid of the salt. Um, Here's what I notice when I eat. Usually, I've never done a bacon fast. I'm a bacon and egg kind of girl. So when I do eggs, when I do bacon, I'm definitely having some eggs. When I eat the full salt bacon, which I've eaten all this time and my whole life, I've just eaten regular full salt bacon. Again, I've not ever really been afraid of it, but then I don't salt the eggs because the bacon has always seemed a little bit too
Right.
salty. So it's like I'll eat the bacon and then eat a bite of eggs kind of thing because the bacon has always felt just a little bit too salty. Well, this lower sodium bacon is like not like that at all. It's still salty, but it's not overly salty and it's delicious. So now I will say, don't come at me for my lower sodium bacon. I'm not afraid of the salt. I just like the flavor of it better. So that's what I'm going to be doing over here.
That's
Lisa
interesting.
in
I'll have to try
California.
that.
The kind that I've been getting is just the Walmart, like the Great Value brand. But I think Costco makes one because a while back I heard somebody, an influencer, talking about I get the lower sodium bacon from Costco because I just like it better, and
I'll have to try that.
so give it a try. I would love for you to give it a try and then message me and be like, you're
I will.
crazy. The full salt is the best, or you're right, Cristie. That lower sodium bacon tastes better. Let me know what you think. Okay, so going on to our final topic. You saved the best one for last, Miss Amy.
I know this really
Consistency
is
beats
good
perfection. I love it.
perfection.
Yes.
So being consistent is better than trying to be perfect all the time, right? So for example, I add my brown mustard every once in a while to my hamburger patty and that's not perfect in a lot of people's eyes, but it allows me to keep consistent on this way of eating, right? And not say, I can't do this anymore, right? So another thing is failures occur because people start, stop, restart, and then start the process over again. And it's not consistent. They're stopping, starting. I can go out and do this thing this one time for celebration, right? Well, then they get home and they're like, oh, well, I messed up, so I'm not going to get back on and start it again, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
next thing you know, it's 6 months down the road and they put on 40, 50 pounds, right? So that's kind of what happens. So, and the other thing is listening to too many influencers can be overwhelming. And, I'm on YouTube, so is Cristie, but I think over time, if you pay attention, you can kind of figure out who is, you know, who's not trying to chase the algorithm and who's not just trying to throw things out there to see which sticks to the wall and gets likes and clicks. So find the influencers that you like and that resonate with you and, stick with them if you feel that you trust them and don't try to like in the previous one, don't try to change things up so quick based on what an influencer says.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And also, I had to learn this the hard way because I'm a perfectionist, right? So I am like, I have to be perfect, and don't be like, I gotta measure every single ounce of this meat, measure this perfectly, because eventually you're gonna be like, I don't want to spend every waking hour of the day measuring all my food, doing this, doing that, and being obsessed with it. We need to go do fun things too, right? Like go to the park, spend time with our kids, go to their baseball games. And and so being obsessive about it sometimes.
I'm
About
just
all
putting this
this.
up because while I, a little mustard and dip the steak in it. That's great. That's, what? If that helps
Yeah.
you stay consistent, if you like your steak with a little mustard, do it.
Yeah. We added what is that? So we had some buffalo. Oh my gosh, what brand is it that Mark Sisson used to own? Primal Kitchen, I think it
Oh,
is.
okay. Hmm.
We had some Primal, and I heard they got bought out and their products aren't as good. But you know what? We had some Primal Kitchen buffalo dip, and we drizzled, and I'm saying drizzle. We drizzled some of that on our pork and chicken, right? Just to give us a little zing, because I don't know. It tastes good. I'm not talking I didn't drown my meat in it, but just a drizzle, right? So that's another thing. Like every once in a while, it's okay to do those things, right? Every once in a while, I will eat fermented cabbage that I have in my fridge. Just as like, oh my gosh, it's been so long since I had a salad. I want a little crunch. And so I will have that.
Yeah, for me, it's a pickle chip. I kind of get that
Same thing.
from that pickle chip.
I need to ferment some pickles. That sounds amazing.
Yeah. So, this was an important comment to me. So Peter's like, I guess I'm a weirdo. And then Ellen, said not a weirdo. So you're not a weirdo. And even Ellen agrees. But anyways, he needs super high fat to prevent hard stools and to keep my mental health issues in full remission. Yes. Thank you. Talking about
Yes.
the individuality, right? If I tried a PSMF day like you did for 4 years, Amy, I think I would gnaw off my own arm. Like, kudos for you for being able to attempt to stick to it for that long. But if I don't get enough fat, I don't feel good. And when I went carnivore, that's when my mental health improved. My social anxiety just kind of poofed, went away. And as long as I keep my fat up, I feel really good. I think people with mental health diagnoses that they're trying to address really have to keep their ketones at a level that is specific for them. And so that usually means, a higher fat version of keto or carnivore. So yes, talk about individuality and, being consistent with that fat would be something that's very important for Peter, but may not be as important for someone else.
That's true. Exactly. What are your thoughts about perfection and consistency?
So I think some people have to do perfection. We kind of already talked about this. People with severe conditions, right? We just talked about mental health, right? Or something like Parkinson's or Alzheimer's, right? Things like of those natures. I think in those cases, it is more important to be closer to perfection because you are dealing with a condition that is very serious, right? And so if you are not within, your lane on that and doing the diet the way that's going to benefit those, your physiology and your symptoms, then you might have some pretty serious repercussions, right? But I think for most of us, really consistency is where it's at. And I know that from personal experience because I have been carnivore since June of 2023, and I have been consistent the whole time. The only times I've had sugar that I know of is twice at a restaurant. They brought me a regular Coke because why? I ordered a Diet Coke. Oh, Amy, I ordered a Diet Coke.
Call the police.
Call the carnivore police. And they brought me a regular Coke. And I was like, one sip, and I'm like, whoa, that's sugar, right? But I've been able to be consistent because I'm not always trying to be perfect.
Right.
I'll have a pickle chip. I'll have a slice of avocado, things like that. I still have coffee and I don't beat myself up about it. If somebody quits coffee and they feel better and they, great. I will, clap for them. I'll be the loudest cheerleader in the bunch if they quit coffee because they want to and they feel great, right? I currently am still enjoying my coffee. I'm not even going to say that I wouldn't be better off if I did quit, but right now I don't want to quit. And so I'm not going to. And people
I don't want to quit either.
You're addicted. Maybe, probably. I don't know. However, it's part of my morning that I enjoy, the quiet morning of the house, right? Nobody else is awake. I make my coffee. And I enjoy that moment of my day. So you know what? I still, regardless of that habit that I still keep in, I feel better than I did in my 30s and 40s right now at 50. So therefore, I think I'm doing okay. Now, like I said earlier, if I got some crazy drastic symptom, I would consider cutting out the last of whatever the plants are, like the coffee, the little bit of pickled chips or avocados that I might add. But until that happens, and as long as I'm feeling pretty good and having energy and, you know, um, just living my best life over here, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, so it seems to work for me. And I haven't gone off the rails. Right. And I haven't taken a 6-month detour, or anything like, those things that you mentioned earlier.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay. So we have a couple of more, comments. So Evelyn was saying the first time I did BBB&E, which is beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, if you don't know, it was difficult, but the second and third time, easy peasy. So sometimes a little discipline or just trying something for a second time. Like I tried that once and I didn't like it. Maybe I'll try it again, right? Evelyn came back, tried it again, and then, was able to get into that groove. So I like that a lot. And then we have a question. So she is asking, do you count macros? Amy, do you ever count macros?
Yes, I have. Yes. Especially when I'm trying to figure things out. So for example, with this weight gain, I started tracking my macros because I wanted to try to find out why I was gaining weight. And when I first started carnivore, and I'm going to throw calories in the mix. I know calories aren't a good measure for this kind of thing, but just to give you kind of an idea of the volume, I think I was eating 6,000 calories, 300 grams of fat, and I forget what the protein was, but I was still hungry. Like I'm like, I could eat. I was basically tracking to figure out what, do I need to higher my fat? So I lowered my fat. And remember, I was coming off of PSMF, so I was probably starved, right? I was probably like started to eat the right foods and high fat, and I'm like, yay! My body's like, yay! She's feeding, and I didn't want to stop eating. So then I tuned my fat down a little bit, and I did lose some weight, but I didn't feel quite as well. So then I kind of like met in the middle, right, of the 300 grams and what I tried to tune it down to. And so I think there's a sweet spot for everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a sweet spot for everybody. And the only way you're going to know what levers to pull and raise or lower slightly is if you're tracking macros. So yes, I do. I should be doing that right now. But my excuse is I am doing too many other things like teaching classes and working a full-time job. So I just haven't put the effort into it. But I do like to do that from time to time just to see where I'm at and maybe adjust things a little bit.
Yeah. I will say when I first started keto in February of 2023, I did count macros because I was shooting for the under 20 grams of carbs a day. And I had never done a ketogenic diet like that before. Like I had eaten low carb for years, but like without ever really knowing what that meant and just trying to eat like more, I guess, meat and cheese and whatever, but like not understanding what ketosis was or anything like that. So when I first went keto, I tracked macros because of the whole keeping the carbs to 20 thing. When I went carnivore, I stopped tracking macros until I started gaining weight, and then I was like, uh-oh. So then I tried tracking and adjusting all kind of macros, and nothing helped. Now, to be fair, perhaps I didn't try any one of those changes long enough because I was panicking, However, at one point after doing that for several months and just watching the scale slowly climb, I just said, you know what? All right, my body's going to do what it's going to do. Maybe if I just stop stressing about this. So the end result of that was I gained about 20 pounds, got up to just above 140, and then kind of just hovered there, never getting below 140, just hovering between 140 and 145, just kind of, but like never really going above 145 or below 140. So I counted that as a win because I was like, look, man, my weight is stable and I don't have to think about it. I don't have to count anything. And I'm just kind of sitting here. Okay, I'm going to take that. I'm going to take that as a win. And then
that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Well, Amy, let me tell you, maybe about 3 months ago, my weight dipped below 140 for the first time. So before I went on this Las Vegas trip, I was actually down to 135, and I didn't do anything different. I didn't. I didn't do anything really different. So, and then coming back, I think I had some inflammation from that trip. Still was not above 140 though. And then
Wow.
today I'm at about, I don't know, 137, 138. So again, it's like now I'm kind of bouncing between like 135 and 140. And I've been there for about 3 months. So
Interesting.
I don't have an
And
answer for
this
it other than maybe
and
my
this is
metabolism is healing.
this is what I think is going to happen with me too. I think it's just I need to not focus on the scales so much and just focus on how I'm feeling. And that's the most important thing, I think. Really.
It was very freeing to just be like, let go and just trust the process because I had counted everything. I had counted calories in my head obsessively for 30 years. So to just, okay, fine. Because, and just trust the way that the energy, the lack of breakouts, like I said, my skin, my joints not aching and creaking, all of that stuff, right? It's like, all right, well, let's just see where this goes. As long as I don't keep gaining, and then I didn't. I stopped gaining and just kind of hit that sweet
Well,
spot, and it's very freeing to not be in that space of restricting and counting.
what bothers me, and this is really, I don't think anybody cares. Maybe there's somebody out there that cares, but that I've been on social media documenting this for since 2021, right? So for 5 years, going on 6 years, I've been doing this on screen in front of people, and I, it, there's a little voice in the back of my head that worries that people are going to see me gaining weight, especially after going carnivore, and
Mm-hmm.
they're going to judge me. They're going to say, this doesn't work. You're gaining weight and blah, blah, blah. And so that, I think that bothers me more than anything. But then I'm like, here's the things that I'm fixing. Like, here
Mm-hmm.
are the things that are, menopause is feeling better and less hot flashes. I got hypothyroidism probably from low fat. And then I reversed that with high fat carnivore. My thyroid is in range. I'm sleeping better.
Yep.
Um, so what if I gain 20 pounds, right? So what? And so you kind of got to get out of that weird head space that you put yourself in, the, oh my gosh, someone's going to see that I put on 20 pounds and they're going to be like, she's failing, right? That failure mentality. And I've noticed that what actually happens is people are like, oh, thank goodness. I'm not the only one that, goes up and then down and then up a little, it's not always a straight path. So I think that is almost better to let people see that, right? See that there's going to be ups and downs. You're going to gain 10 pounds here, lose 15 there, gain 20 here, as your body needs it to survive, right?
Yep.
So I'm reprogramming my brain as well, and nobody's perfect, and this is a journey, and we have to tweak things as we go along.
100% agree. So just know that I've had those exact thoughts. If you look at my thumbnails from when I first started carnivore, I was way thinner. My face was thinner, everything way thinner. It's obvious. So anyone goes back and watches my old videos, it's the same exact thing. They might think that about me too, Amy. So there you go. We are in that same boat together. But yeah, look at all the things same. Like look at all the things that are going so much better for me. So like we're just gonna sing this chorus again. It's not about being skinny, Amy. It's about
It's
being
not
healthy, right?
healthy and feeling your best, right?
Yes. Okay, so I know we're in about an hour, but there we do have one more question here. It's like a follow-up question. So does our body have a set point? Just trying to figure out what I'm doing wrong to go back to losing weight again. I walk daily and lift weights.
There could be a lot of things in that. So there could be like, and this, none of this is medical advice, but what are you eating on a day-to-day basis? What are you eating? Are you being consistent? what your blood work and labs look like. You know, do you have any diagnosis, any autoimmune conditions? That looks like a male. So what's your testosterone levels, right? Is everything optimized? If it's not, if you're having, you know, thyroid conditions or low testosterone or anything, no matter what you try to do, this other stuff going on until it's balanced and resolved, anything that you're eating or exercising could not matter, right? So there's so many things that we can't answer that question without, you know, a long conversation. And then some of that requires a medical doctor, right, to run
Yeah.
tests and find
Yeah.
things out and diagnose those things. So
Yeah. I would also
that's my
add, just
opinion.
look at your eating window. What time of day is your eating window? Sometimes pushing your eating window a little earlier in the day. One of the things that I'm going to test out with the CGM that I put on yesterday is the timing of my meals, just to see how it affects me, because I know, like Jenny was saying, when she eats the same carnivore food, but she eats it later in the day, her blood glucose is higher the whole next day, or for sure, like in the morning, like her fasting blood glucose in the morning is higher, even if it's the exact same meal and just the timing of that meal is pushed later in the day. So that might also be something that you could look at. All right. Well, everyone, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, I'm not on my Meat and Wellness channel. This is Carnivore RX Lifestyle. We have a couple of Facebook groups, Carnivore RX and Carnivore Lifestyle. That's where the name came from. There's a lot of people in those groups. Come on over there and join them. And I am Cristie at Meat and Wellness, and I am just the host of this channel. So thanks, everyone. Thank you, Amy, for coming out and
Thank you.
supporting
Thank
and
you so
doing this
much.
awesome topic with us. Yeah.
It was awesome. Thanks for having me.
All right. We'll be back here same time next week. And I believe we're going to be talking to Chris Brandlin, who just won the congressional seat over in Nevada, previously known as Carnivore Lawyer. So if you haven't subscribed, subscribe right now. Click the little bell icon if you want to see me talking to Chris Brandlin next week. All right. Goodbye, everybody.